I hope you are enjoying your summer, and sorry for setting this session during end of July, but we needed something just to refresh our memory. So today in the open source interest group, we will be talking about tools, software, system, whether commercial or open source, free, related to information literacy, related to online education, related to all tools that we might need in our work at universities. So today I want to introduce a colleague, Dr. Ola. Dr. Ola El Zein is the director of Saab Medical Library and lecturer at the American University of Beirut. She holds a PhD in cell and molecular biology. She has extensive teaching experience at AUB and other universities since 2007. She is in charge of several research initiatives and projects and had published several research papers in prominent international journals. And she works currently on supporting medical research and improving the quality of health information, knowledge, and research evidence to strengthen health systems and promote the dissemination of evidence-based information. So I will leave now the floor to Ola, and let's start our tool parade. Ola?
Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Omar, and thank you for the OSS group at AMICAL for inviting me with all of you today. I would like also to thank the attendees, as Omar mentioned, for taking the time out of your either busy schedules or vacations to be with us. We really appreciate that. I hope this session will be really helpful for every one of us, and we take it like a sort of a learning opportunity to reflect on a topic, as Omar mentioned, that has affected almost every one of us in one way or another. So if I start sharing my screen, we will try to learn from each other rather than lecturing. So the title of the session, as you can see, is about a tool parade, an overview of tools that we need in our online learning or teaching. So why we had to talk about online learning, and what are some of the challenges that made me think of doing this tool parade? No one can ignore that during the COVID-19 pandemic itself has affected almost all of us, and specifically the field of education has been affected really drastically across the globe. So whether you are not, the attendee is a faculty member, a librarian, an IT staff, an instructional designer, and definitely a student, this sudden transition from face-to-face to online learning has affected all of us. So, being myself a faculty member and teaching for the past couple of years, and also a librarian who is involved in teaching sessions, I found that what we used to do is no more applicable. So we used to go to our classes, meet our students, deliver the material using maybe some slides over PowerPoint or writing on a white board, getting instant feedback from students by having some face-to-face body language, knowing who is understanding, who is not, getting instant questions, comments, giving them some assessment through exams, quizzes, grading them, and that's it. But over one night, and with the lockdowns, decisions to close universities, this was no more applicable and no more possible. So almost all of us, I believe, at American institutions, we were in the middle of our spring semester when all that happens in like February or March 2020. So the thing was that the transition was really urgent. And we all needed to act not only quickly, but also efficiently, because we needed to maintain the quality of education that we were delivering pre-pandemic. So neither the faculty nor the students were prepared for this sudden change, not to mention the technical logistics, the connectivity issues, the laptops, the home computers that were really a big struggle, especially in Lebanon, as you might be aware. So every one of us from his own position started to cope with this new normal and to apply what we know to be able to maintain doing our previous job at almost the same good level. But these questions were always on mind. How can we maintain this good quality of education? How to enhance the teaching experience of us as educators? What about the learning and education of our students? How to engage our students and overcome this lack of social interaction? And more importantly, how to evaluate the performance of our students and to assess them fairly. Because we know that the grades are at the end the way that the students are being assessed. So with all that in mind, with all these questions in my mind, and I'm sure in all of you, with all of you, personally, I started giving my sessions, trying to adapt using tools that I didn't choose, but my institution, AUB, chose, which were VOPs, WebEx. My only prior knowledge to e-learning tools was I used to use only Kahoot in some of my classes to enhance students' engagements, but honestly, I didn't know anything beyond that. So as someone who focuses a lot on face-to-face interaction, getting direct feedback from my students, I wasn't really very satisfied with what I was doing in this transition online learning. And I started asking myself, what can I do to enhance this teaching experience? What can I do to help my students engage more, to make sure that the material is really well grasped by everyone? How can I assess them really fairly with all the technical and non-technical challenges that we were facing? Meanwhile, I started hearing of new different teaching approaches and modalities like asynchronous, hybrid, flipped, all these terms, which might be a bit new for some of us. And also of new e-learning tools like Flipgrid, Padlet, Zoom, and so many others. So I found like really there are so many tools that might help me in answering these questions and challenges in my mind. So honestly, I decided to dedicate some more time to invest more in knowing about these tools. So I started attending many more webinars, conferences, doing extensive literature reviews about each tool. So what I found is that the list is really huge, and each tool is different from the other in its features. Why do we use this tool? When do we use this one? Is it applicable in our scenario or not? So that's where the idea of compiling all these tools in one-stop shop, if you can call it, came to my mind, so that it helped me personally and possibly, hopefully help others like you. So, but then I was like, my intention was not to do a long list of tools, just listing them, which I found might confuse rather than help the user if he opens just a long list of tools. So okay, this is a tool, but where do I use it? How can I make use of it? So then the question was like the design. How can I categorize them in a user-friendly approach that will help you decide which tool to pick and when to pick it? That's when I decided to help me design and answer this question. I started looking at several criteria of rubrics for evaluating e-learning tools. So I had to keep in mind when categorizing these tools, like why am I using this tool? Is it to deliver a lesson? Is it to assess the students? Is it to engage them? Is it to hear from them, their feedback? Is it during the session, after the session? So all these were questions that I was asking. So if two tools give me the same purpose, Why do I choose tool number 1 and not tool number 2? Does it have to do with the functionality, accessibility, the technical details? Can I use it alone? Do I need any technical support from the IT, from the instructional designers? Also, is it free or is it paid? Because sometimes we might not be able to secure the budget to acquire this tool. I also kept in mind with this open word, the privacy, the rights, the data protection. So is it really protected what I'm sharing, what I'm doing with my students? Not to forget also the preserving the social, teaching and cognitive presence of the education that I cared about. So honestly, I had all these in mind. That's why it was not an easy job to know how to categorize them. So now the thing that I want to share with you, the first question is, why do you use e-learning tools? What's the main purpose? I'll try to keep an eye on the chat, so maybe I can hear from you. If you don't mind sharing, like, why did you use these tools? Was it to, did you use it based on assessing, on learning? So what was the main aim that you resorted to using e-learning tools for? Please feel free if you want to answer through the chat. Then I will share with you what are the themes that I thought of to organize my tools. So Celine is saying to keep students engaged, make the session more fun, break some ice, to hear feedback, Minerva. So this is a different purpose. Keeping students engaged, feedback, these are two different things. Can I use the same tool for doing both? So if Minerva and Celine wanted to pick a tool, was the same tool able to do both things, or did they need different tools? For active participation, Sally is saying, so so you can see that everyone wanted to use the tool for a different purpose. That's what I thought of, and that's what I used to to dissect my tools into. So if no one else is sharing in the chat, maybe I'll show you what I did, how I divided my tools based on the purpose. Thank you for those who shared with us for engagement. Yes. So for me, that was the different purposes that I wanted to make life harder for that big. She wanted to make her. It was already very hard that big for both of us, right? As teachers and as students. So I think you wanted to make it more harder. Yeah. So for me, these tools, I wanted some for the lesson delivery. That was category number 1 and maybe the most obvious for all of us. I wanted some tools for assessment. That was another category. I wanted some tools for knowledge, to enhance the knowledge, to make sure my students are grasping the material. Another bunch of tools for communication, to be able to facilitate and communicate better between our students, because we know we are not able to communicate face-to-face. So what tools can help me overcome this challenge? For illustration, if I want to illustrate certain concepts, maybe in figures, and so what tools can help me do so? And I also added another category, which might be more customized to the EUB community, which are like some training opportunities for both the students and the teachers, definitely, to make this process of e-learning smoother. So these are the main categories that I thought of. I might have missed a category or not. So that's why I said this session might be a learning opportunity for us to learn from each other. So if you think that there is any tool that might have been missed, you're more than welcome to share that. So now, also, the different types of tools that I organized into these categories. That's why if Omar or Alex don't mind to share maybe this link for Google Doc, where I wanted at the beginning for like 3-4 minutes to hear from you, if you don't mind. There are few questions. I will try to open it together so we can follow up what you are doing. Okay. So this is the Google Doc. If you want to use the chat, if you feel it's more convenient, I don't mind. But because here it's more organized in terms of questions. So for the lesson delivery tools, I thought like, which tools do you use for delivering live sessions synchronously? So please feel free if you like to share any tool that you have used. Yeah, I see answers are coming. Second, maybe I thought like which tools for pre-recording a session or recording a live one and then associating it with the LMS. So I'll try to go over the questions if you want. This make it, I think, more easy. So we see Zoom, we see WebEx, we see Teams, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, you see. So now what we will do, Nabil is saying WebEx and Zoom, what we will do is after answering these couple of questions on the first category, we will go to the guide that I've prepared and we will see if I've missed any. We will be adding it. If not, you will be hopefully learning new ones that you haven't maybe thought of. Okay, so we will shift a bit there after you answer these couple of questions. And we'll see. If you want, we can answer each question by itself and go there. I'm fine with whatever you prefer to make it easier. Okay, so I see you're moving to question 2. So I leave you move to the first, how many questions? Divided them into, wow, 11 questions for the lesson delivery. Okay, so the first one had to do with synchronous live sessions. We got some answers which were a bit similar. The second question was about pre-recording. We had VOPs, WebEx, Zoom, any movie software, PowerPoint. Okay, I'll try to correct these things which are happening. It's okay. So now for engaging presentations, I see Padlet. Apparently it's a famous tool. So Padlet. Prompto was added for pre-recording a session. WebEx and Zoom, Nabil is saying for the second question, Panopto. Okay, I'll correct this. For the third question of having engaging presentations with like interactive slides, polling, knowledge checks, Padlet, Jamboard, articulate storyline, Adobe Rise, wow, Kahoot. Thank you so much. More answers. The more you share, the better each one of us will be learning, the more tools. Yesterday learned about it, about Mentimeter. Oh, okay, yeah, Mentimeter also. iSpring, PowerPoint, Beyond, it seems new to me. Okay, Panopto also for pre-recording. Okay, so shall we move to the fourth? For discussions, if you want to discuss with your students, yeah, Dina, don't worry, I can share it. And also, I will be sharing, you'll be taking the link for the guide. So don't worry, all these will be there. I will be sharing both. Okay, so is an interactive Vion, Tatvik is saying, is an interactive video app. I think someone mentioned it, yes. So, someone is saying at our site, we listed the web-based tools by categories. I like the way AUB has ours is out. Okay, thank you, Roxana. We can check that. Yes, sure. So we will see. We will try to compile. I tried to make it as comprehensive as possible, but definitely I cannot say I was aware of every single tool. I'm still learning. And I didn't have even the chance maybe to get into the details of all of them because really I learned a lot. Yani whenever I hear a new webinar conference, I do some search, I learn another tool and I start adding it into this guide. So this is like a live guide if you want, which has been updated with any new tool. Someone has added annotation. Oh yeah, can I remove it, Alex? I'm not, okay. So for question 4, we have Zoom chat for discussion. Okay, I believe you mean the chat, not the breakout rooms. Moodle discussion forum, hypotheses. I run AMICAL session. Hypotheses, the annotation. Okay. Question, wow, you are now in question 6. Question 5, what LMS you are using at your institution? Moodle and Teams and Blackboard. These are the most famous ones. Moodle is inaccessible, we use. What do you use as whiteboard? Because we can no more, I used to write a lot on the whiteboard. So now what do we use to share? Handwriting, text, graphs, images. We're saying Mentimeter, Miro. Okay, so this is for question 6 about whiteboard, where you can have like a single area similar to the physical whiteboard that you had in our classes. Any other? Okay, LibAnswer and SpringShare was added to discussions, but 4. Okay, so now we are at question 6. Anyone with Padlet as a whiteboard? Yes. So Jamboard also, yes. So question 7, when you want to take notes, okay, when you want to take notes and share them later with your students, or maybe you are in a meeting, you have an administrative position or something, will take minutes, create a to-do list, whether written or voice recorded notes. What tools do you use? So this is question 7. Sana is saying we get ours from a listing of all of the 226 tools in the education report. Yeah. Okay, so we'll see. Okay. I've also, because the free thing is very important for every one of us, and especially in Lebanon, so I tried to categorize them into the free and the paid. So also I wanted to make it as user-friendly as possible. Don't need to go into the tools, read about, discover if it's free or if it's not. So I've done the job. I've checked if it's free with maybe some paid options, or if it's totally paid. And I've also added the section if it's available at EUB. So this will make it even much more easier for us at EUB. Still not effective. They're answering the notes question. Usually we share Microsoft Office documents through OneDrive. Maybe you can share the link if you don't mind, Roxana. It might be helpful for everyone. So which tool do you use to create interactive videos? We're getting some questions, some answers. Vion, Snaglet, Kaltura, Camtasia, yes. So this is for interactive videos. We still have 2 ones for the lesson delivery. So all these were lesson delivery only. Imagine. So that's why when I started compiling and organizing them, this was really a huge list that every time I changed the design to try to make it for me at least user-friendly. So I hope you will find it user-friendly when now we open it together. So for live interpretation or translated subtitles, which tools you can use, especially in conferencing and sessions. What about digital portfolios, which we know they make learning much more accessible for everyone? So which tools can help you in creating digital portfolios? Mozello.com, Wix, okay. Weebly, okay. So thank you so much for sharing all these. I'm sure this is I hope this is very helpful for every one of us. Google Sites, yeah, both are answering Google Sites. Okay, someone else is answering maybe question 10. So if you want, without going into other tools and making things a bit harder, we can stop and go to the guide that I've created to see how I have organized the tools. And then we will go to the communication tools, okay? So I'll shift. So this is okay, so I will try to just stop sharing a bit and sharing again. Okay, I'll also keep an eye on the chat. Thank you, Alex. Okay, So this is the guide that I'm talking about, okay, that I have tried to create. So it starts with a, are you all able to see the screen?
Yes, yes, Ola.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So if you don't mind also, what I can do, I'll give you the link so that you can open it at the same time. Okay, I'll put it in the chat. Feel free to open it. It is free for everyone. You don't need to be definitely an AUB user, so you can make use of it. Okay. Okay. So I'll give you like just a few seconds to open it and we will go together. So it starts with the homepage, just explaining a bit of why I came up with this, as I just shared with you in a less condensed text. And then it shows the different sections of the tools that I categorized them in. So on the left side, I'm sure most of you are familiar with how to navigate through a guide. So I tried to divide it into the categories that I talked about. And within each one, if you open it, if you open the lesson delivery, the one that we just discussed, okay, you will find the different sections, which are the different 10 questions that we just answered together, okay? So if you want, as a faculty member, as a librarian, as a student, as whatever, to deliver a session, a live session synchronously, you can go to this section and check what tools are available over there. I told you I've added a section for AUB specifically, but the others, you might have something which is in common. So these are the most common ones which we heard from all of you, WebEx, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom. And I've also listed some free resources, which are also free so anyone can use. I believe some of them were not mentioned in the answers to in the Google Doc. So we have Google Hangouts. I think someone mentioned it. YouTube Live, you can use it also to run a live stream. You have Dink Talk, which also provides the same video conferencing option that Zoom and WebEx provides. We have Skype, which maybe some of us have forgot about it, and Easy Talks. Okay, this is also a free resource that allows you to deliver a session synchronously. Definitely, due to the short time, we will not be able to go through each of this, but maybe later on, if you have some time at the end, and if you like to go over to as a demo for anyone, you're more than welcome to suggest that. What if I want to record a session? To record it asynchronously, whether it's live or to pre-record it, and then maybe share it on LMS or whatever way with your students. So we heard of Zoom, WebEx, and Microsoft Teams as well. We heard VOPs. What about some of the other free resources? We have Screencast-O-Matic. I can say that I've used it with my students to do this pre-recording, and they really enjoyed it. So some assignments I give to the students, they used Screencast-O-Matic to record how they did the search strategy or whatever, instead of sending me screenshots or writing, and they really enjoyed that. And I really enjoyed checking how my students worked on this assignment. You will see live how they thought, what they did, what they changed. So this was really helpful from a personal experience. We have Viva Video. It's another also a free resource, but this is only available for mobile phones. Quick Voice Recorder. Filmora is also free, QuickTime and Loom. So these are also free resources for pre-recording. For paid, we have Blueberry Flashback Express Recorder, we have Camtasia, Bandicam, and Vitamin. So these are other 4 paid resources for pre-recording a live session and sharing it with your students, or maybe students using it and sharing it with you for an assignment or a project or anything. Are we all fine? Can we move to the third section within lesson delivery, which is interactive presentations? So if you want to hold interactive presentations, okay? So also Zoom, WebEx, and Microsoft Teams, I'm not stressing on them because I feel every one of you know them and share them. That's why I'm trying to mention the non-mentioned ones. We have some course presentations which is available through our Moodle system. Other free resources for interactive presentations include Poll Everywhere. I've also used it, and this is really very nice. What's also interesting, you can integrate it within your PowerPoint. So from within PowerPoint, you can integrate the Poll Everywhere over there without the need to shift from one application to another. We have definitely VOPs, which is maybe the most used one at the beginning, I can say. We have emails to create also presentation slides interactively. Mentimeter, someone mentioned it, that they learned about it just recently. And we have a project with a Q. Okay, this is also for creating multimedia presentations with dynamic slides. For the paid resources, we have Adobe Captivate and Articulate Storyline, which I think one of you mentioned the Articulate Storyline. What about discussions? Because these are very important that can activate prior knowledge before the start of the session or during the session or even after the session. So these are really very helpful and I've used them. We have in our Moodle built-in forum activity, breakout rooms are definitely helpful. They are available within Zoom, within Teams, and within WebEx. We also have as other free resources Padlet. I've also used it and students really enjoyed sharing their feedback and knowledge and discussions over there. We have Flipgrid. This is also very helpful. We have VoiceThread, Kialo Edu, Remind, and definitely Google Docs, which is, we are sharing it right now in our session. Okay. For LMS, this, I know this doesn't depend a bit on our choice, but on the institution's choice. But just to have an idea, in addition to Moodle and Microsoft Teams, we have Google Classroom, which is also free, and some other paid resources as learning management systems. We have Canvas, Blackboard, ClassDojo, and Edmodo. I've used Edmodo in some of the conferences where we were registered as speakers and as attendees, and this was really also very helpful. What about digital whiteboards? Definitely, in addition to Zoom, WebEx, and Microsoft Teams, we have other free resources. So these are totally free. Feel free to go through them. iBrainstorm, Google Drawings, Padlet, Twidla, Lino, Netboard.me, and Trello. So all these are free resources, and you can see the description of each one, the direct link, and also a hint about the technical support, whether it is simple, whether you might need to check with the IT, or whether you can just use it yourself. So in addition to categorizing into free and not free, there's the direct link, a small description, and also whether it is used simply or need any technical support. What about note-taking? We have OneNote, which is available for us at EUB, might be available at some of your institutions. As free resources, we have Sophia, Google Cloud, AudioNote, Evernote, AnswerGarden, and CheckPrep. These are all free. For video creation, I know you shared some. Interactive video, we have it here through Moodle. Flipgrid is free, and Animoto is a paid one. For transcription and live interpretation, WebEx provides that. Microsoft Translator is also free. As paid resources, you have Otter.ai, Microsoft Azure speech-to-text, and 3Play Media. Finally, for digital portfolios, you can see we have OneNote Class, Notebook, and 3Ring as free, Bulb, Weebly, Seesaw, and KidBlog as paid resources. What about communication tools? So for communication tools, I see you are sharing already. There are only 2 sections within it. Either some tools for sharing lectures, documents, or some social media tools. So you either take 1 minute just to answer, and we will move directly to the tools that we have in my classification in the guide. So I see there's Drive and Teams. Social media, I think there's no need to wait to list them because we are probably all aware of that. So for the content sharing asynchronously, At UB, we have Moodle, we have audio recorder and Microsoft Teams. For free resources, you can use WeTransfer, definitely to share, OneDrive, WhatsApp, Anchor, Post-it, and CISO. So I think some of these, at least they were new to me when I found them out. So I hope you will learn about them and you will make use of them, especially that they are free. As paid, we have Glide. For social media, you have definitely the regular ones for images, story sharing, Instagram, microblogging, Twitter, and networking, LinkedIn. The third classification are the assessment tools, which I know are very important, and we always ask ourselves which is a tool that we can assess fairly and know from our students. So I divide them into four sections within assessment tools. One to do quizzes, MCQs, and polls, another game-based quizzes, a third to do some surveys to hear about students' insight on a topic, and a fourth one is to provide feedback or track students' progress. So we can either give like 1 minute to share some of the assessment tools if you would like to share, and then we can move to the vision that I tried. I'm sure I'm learning about new ones, which I'll try to compare with the Google Doc. If there's anything that I've missed, I'll be more than happy to add it over here. So anyone is sharing? Yeah. Poll Everywhere, SurveyMonkey, Microsoft Teams as surveys, Moodle Kahoot as quizzes, MCQs, Moodle, H5P, and Twine for game-based. Thank you so much for sharing. We will see now if I've missed any. So I know there's a lot to cover and we are 11:40. I just want to keep some time for discussion. So Slido is also for quizzes. So I'll try to share what I thought are some tools, what I learned. So as you see, for online quizzes and polls, the list is really long, ranging from Moodle, arithmetic quiz, single choice chess, true, false, multiple choice, and quizzes. These are all within H5P, which is within our Moodle LMS at EUB. For free, there's a lot, and these are really great. They are all free. Go Conquer, Edpuzzle, Slido, Quizzes, Socrative, it's really very nice. WooClap, BrainPop, MicroPol, and Yakapaka. Oh, Yakapaka. As paid, we have Pear Deck. Okay, so this is for online quizzes and polls as assessment. For game-based, because we wanted to make the sessions more fun, as one of you suggested, we have memory game and image pairing through H5P at Moodle. Free, we have Playmayo, Quizlet, Kahoot, which is really very nice, and Review Game Zone. For surveys, I think you mentioned most of them. We have Lime Survey, MS Microsoft Forms, and Lime Survey. Free ones, Typeform, free online surveys, Google Forms. And as paid, we have SurveyMonkey, Survey Planet, and Survey Hero. Finally, for monitoring and grading and providing feedback, we have Moodle Gradebook within Moodle, Edulastic, Mastery Connect, Parlay Ideas, Nearpod for all rubrics, Kaizena are really great free resources that teachers can use to highlight, to provide feedback, and others. I will skip the section for training resources at EUB because these list the training resources for teachers and students, which are mainly at EUB, but you are welcome definitely to check it. So that's why I moved to the knowledge tools. For knowledge, we refer to using sources which are books or ebooks. Sometimes we refer to letting students use concept maps because we are no more at the traditional way of teaching. What if you want to create a timeline to present the material? What if you want to provide extra sources for your students at additional learning in addition to their textbooks? What about newsletters and what about OERs, which I'm sure all of us are getting to know more about? So if you would like to share something before we move to the knowledge tools and how I thought of dividing that. I will see if there's any answer. Okay. So let's share together since we are saying the same tools at oftentimes. So for definitely for books, we have our libraries at EUB as free resources to guide your students or maybe yourself to get some books. We have Biblionasium, we have Goodreads and Book Creator. These are free resources. Some are free, but sometimes they have paid services. For mind maps, you have XMind, MindMap, and MindMeister. These are for mind maps to plan, brainstorm your project. Internet Archive, is it, Sally, for mind maps? So if yes, please add it on the Google Doc so I can add it to here. For creating a timeline for chronological manner, you can use Timeline or Tiki-Toki. These are free resources. For online courses, definitely you're aware of Coursera, edX, EdTed, Khan Academy, Udemy, and FutureLearn. All these are also free resources. For newsletters and newsletter apps, we have as free Flipboard, Feedly, and InnoReader. These are all free. Some miscellaneous resources for knowledge tools, NewsEla, Microsoft Immersive Reader, VidReader, and Wakelet. These are just extra. And OERs, definitely I've added some links for some guides that have listed OERs as references for you to use in your classes. So what about illustration tools? How can you present your data more nicely through illustrations, figures, charts? We have Microsoft Power BI, which is really very helpful. It helps you create data visuals, interactive data visuals. And as free, there's also Tableau, which is really very nice. And at some stage, it will become a paid service. We also have definitely Microsoft Excel. Beautify your content. We also have as free, you can create beautiful designs for presentations, documents. We have Canva, Sway, Adobe Spark, Big Huge Labs, Quincy, Easel, IPC, Princeton Comics. These are free, and some paid, Lucid Press, PictoChart, ThinkLink, and Wixie. So I hope, I'm trying to not to talk a lot because I'm aware of the time and I want to hear from you also. So I hope this guide or list or the way it's presented is really helpful or user-friendly for at least some of you. I'm open to any questions, any discussions, any feedback you can provide, because as I said, the aim is to help each other through this guide. So I'm open if there are any comments, any feedbacks, and anything that we can add. Thank you. I'll go up to Omar. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ola. It was great hearing you. I have two things to mention. One is the first thing I want to do is to bookmark your AUB page for further reference. This is one. And two, I noticed that some of these tools are repeating under each section. So did you try to grade a tool to fulfill all the needs? For example, do you have one universal tool or having at least, let's say, 80 or 90% of all these aspects to have this tool as winning tool?
Yeah, so as you said, Omar, I intended, because at the beginning I wanted to avoid this repetition, but the way the design took, the hardest thing was how to categorize them. So that's why then I prefer to categorize them by purpose, because I thought like as a faculty or as librarian or as someone to deliver a session or do, the first thing that we look at what we want to do. Was it to assess? So I don't know, I found it for me at least more helpful to categorize them like this, taking in mind that there are some winning tools which are in almost, I can say not all of them, but almost 80, 90%. So we can see that maybe Moodle at some point, which is the LMS system, you can see it repeated in almost 80, 90% of the sections, because it's not only, but the thing about Moodle is that also for Moodle, which I used to use it for classes, I learned about some tools, the H5P, the interactive video. We used only to put our lectures and just to give our assignments. But I learned that there are also other features which can help in knowledge tool, in assessment, and in others. So I think Moodle, and I'm sure other LMS, but I don't have the opportunity, unfortunately, to use them in details because we're not subscribed to them. Maybe Blackboard can also help, or other LMS systems. So I think it falls under almost all the sections. But when you get to work with the tool, you will yourself get to prefer one tool over the other in this context. So let's say I prefer Kahoot in giving maybe during the session. I prefer Padlet for after the session. I prefer, so you know, like, so I start to prefer something over other depending on how user friendly it is and the context of the session.
We have a question from Stella in the chat.
Yes.
In order for us to check the ones we do not know, will take as much time. Do you maybe have a list created based on the other criteria you mentioned in the beginning, i.e. mobile design, data protection? You say.
Yeah, the criteria for the rubrics. Yeah, I tried honestly I can share with you some things that I found, but the thing that I created is, I can say, not very neat, because I started with the design, I ranked them, then I changed the design until I come up with this final one. So I have some data, but they are not really final because at the end, I adopted this way, but I tried to do this classification as Stella is asking. So maybe if you want to contact me, Stella, I can share with you some things, but just to make it clear that these are not really final. But also, like, I tried to keep the most important information in this small text that I provided next to it. I don't want to put a lot of text next to each tool because I know there are a lot, but I tried at least to mention the most important things, which has to do a bit with these criteria, but definitely not all of them. Because if you look at these rubrics, Stella and everyone, you will see that I mentioned functionality, for example. Within functionality, there are like 5-6 criteria. So is it like functional with a wide class or not? Is it accessible for, so you know, like these are the main points that I mentioned. Within each one, there are like 6-7 ranks for each one. That's why it was really huge to be able to rank them this way.
Thank you. One more question, Ola. Let us keep it under the scope of open source. Now, after checking all these tools, I think we can create a system of open source tools linked together to provide our student and faculty with all the needed requirements. We can build something, integration with Moodle, with integration with other open source tool, and ending up having all the needs without paying, let's say, without paying anything. It's free. We just need the expertise and some help from the IT to link these tools together and have a very rigid system, having everything inside.
Yeah, this is great. Maybe if we definitely collaborate together, because everyone from his own perspective and expertise, I think it would be great if we will be able to do something like that. Because this is not ending, yani. Sorry, Omar. I know from my biological background when it started that it's not a matter of days or months and we will go back to normal. So I know it's a virus and it mutates, and we will be dealing with that, I can say, forever. Yani, it will stay with us. So COVID will not disappear. So maybe this biological background helped me because I know it will not go, that we should do something for the new normal. So the spring, okay, passed like not very much satisfied, but I felt no, we should do something for the coming years and start to learn and adopt, because some of them are really nice. Even if we go to the hybrid or at some point to face, these will be still nice to hear from them, to assess them. So and really students like them, as I heard from the feedback, at least of what I've used. So I'm also open to listen to your maybe experience, if you've used some, if you liked, didn't like.
It's not also about experience. It's also about free. We need something free because we have the budget issue, especially in Lebanon, and I think the budget issue is everywhere. So building a system without paying a fee or preparing something, it will be very useful for us. and
Exactly.
this might be a very good initiative.
Yeah, that's why the main category within each one is free. So I wanted to highlight that because I know that I don't even have the time if I get this list to go and check, which is because maybe I will not even check the paid. I don't have the money. So why I would waste my time and go to it and check about it. That's why, other than the purpose, the free was for me. I wanted to engage include it in any way. So yeah, I agree with you. We are facing hard times, and we are trying to make the best of what's there.
For example, Blackboard is expensive.
It's
So
expensive.
yes, it is somehow very expensive now. So we need to rely on these solutions and try to figure out something.
Exactly. We are barely keeping what we are already subscribed to. So some of them we are even losing the subscription. So what about acquiring a new one? So definitely this is a challenge in Lebanon, and I'm sure in other countries. So I hope this is helpful. I don't know. I did it from the way I saw it, but as I said, you are free to use it. That's why I aim to make it open to everyone and not just to a small community. So please feel free to thank you, Omar, for bookmarking it and to share it and use it. Thank you, Tadvik, also.
Thank you. Any more questions? Do you have any question for Ola? So I think we are done. We are done here. Thank you very much, Ola, for this presentation. Thank you all for showing up during summer. The number of attendees was excellent. Thank you very much. And hopefully in the next few months, we will have something new in the open source interest group. And maybe we have a surprise for you later on. We will talk about this later. So thank you very much, all of you, and hope you will enjoy your summer. And sorry to bother you in a sunny day. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you, OSS. And thank you really for the attendees. Thank you for all the thanks in the chat. And I really appreciate taking the time to attend. Please feel free to contact me. My email is oe14. So
can you share it, please? Can you share it, please, in the chat?
Yes, sure.
We have a question from Cleli. If we can do some subscription via AMICAL. I think
this is not for me.
this should be addressed to Jeff, and we need to see how the number of institutions interested in such a software to do a consortium subscription if we want to pay for these systems or tools.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe if we want to take such a decision and it can be done, we will need to look at these ranking criteria to see which is the one that best fit for almost all institutions, because as you said, we needed something that fits almost everyone. So I can maybe help if you need anything or something, and hopefully we will be able to do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Stay safe and hope to see you soon.